and beyond. One station keeps you locked in, no matter where you are. Non-stop vibes, non-stop hits. This is Flow FM 92.7.
Good morning, Ilori. You know what time it is. Wake up with us and get your day started right.
We've got the hottest headlines, trending topics, and the music you love back to back.
You already know we keep it fun, fresh, and real. Mid mornings with us, you won't want to miss it.
We bring the energy, the laughs, and of course the tunes that gets you through the day.
Afternoon on Flow FM, it's where the culture lives. Music, entertainment, and all the gist that you need.
And if it's trending, you already know we're talking about it.
Stay locked in, Lauren. It's Flow FM, baby.
The night's young, the vibes are right, and we are flowing past midnight. You ready to chill? Let's go.
Listen anytime, anywhere. Stream us live, call us, send us a WhatsApp message. We're just a tap away. Flow FM 92.7, your Go with the Flow radio station.
Remember that the views to be expressed is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7, but solely as expressed by Nicholas. A lot of stories to touch on this morning, from insecurity to some, party politics, and all of this we'll touch on in a moment.
All right, before we get into any of the stories, this is to remind you that we're streaming live on YouTube at Flow FM 927. All you have to do is go on the app and you get in on the live action happening in the studio right now. Let's start off with this one, with the alleged defamation, quote unquote, saying Yahaya Bello is petitioning the IGP and is demanding prosecution of Senator Natasha. Now, I just want to ask, right, under the Nigerian law, what are potential consequences for Senator Akpoti Uduaghan if she's unable to provide credible evidence to support the claims that she has so far?
Defamation, essentially, criminal defamation is when you critically damage a person's reputation in such a manner that it forces him or her to be a subject of ridicule, or somehow endangers his life, or even leads to the destruction of his brand as a person. You understand? But there is a controversy about whether that should go as civil or criminal, a matter. And there has been a lot of talks by lawyers, and of course there have been rulings, especially by ECOWAS court, that it should be more of a civil matter, especially when it comes to the cybercrime aspect of it. Now, you see, the onus is on, when such allegations are made, the onus is on the person who made the allegation to provide proof that this person actually did what he or she claimed, to have been done. And of course, if we recall, he did say that there was a collusion between, she said that there was a collusion between the Senate President and Yahya Bello to the effect that, she should be killed.
Okay, so what's the line between, expressing herself and crying out for help and defamation? That's like between free speech and defamation, like having to cry out and ask for help.
The thing is, it's a bit of a thin line, especially given the condition, given the circumstance that Natasha found herself. You understand? She's a public figure. You understand? And she's entitled to some measure of security. Then for some matters that she brought before the public, which hasn't been addressed, for that reason she was suspended for 6 months, which is again a controversial matter, and her security details withdrawn. Then of course don't forget that Natasha is a highly placed person. She has resources. She has people who report to her on certain developments. So she couldn't have, given her kind of intelligence, I'm not sure she would have gone ahead, to make that kind of allegation without a scintilla of proof or whatever, So, and like you rightly, asked, she's claiming that she was only asking for help. You understand? And don't forget that the people she made allegations against, as it were on paper, have the wherewithal. One was an ex-governor, a very strong ex-governor that has been in the news for several reasons and mostly wrong reasons. You understand? And of course, the man he has an altercation with, who is, the Senate president, is equally a powerful figure and has access, to a lot of resources. So, given her condition and given, the situation where man-woman thing in Africa, you can rightly argue, that is, the lawyers can rightly argue that she was crying out for help. You understand? But of course, that does not in any way vitiate the right of Yahya Bello to, ask the IG to prosecute, Natasha for making alleged false allegation against him. You understand? But I'm just trying to put things in perspective so we understand what the issues are.
All right. Well, this conversation has spanned for a long time, and a lot of Nigerians, somehow some section of the population feel, well, if you make such allegations against people, you should have proofs. And what people are asking is, has Senator Natasha been able to provide a proof against, first, the sexual harassment against the Senate president, and of course the allegation against the former governor of Kogi State, Yahya Bello, putting into perspective the same with former spokesperson of the Jonathan administration, that's Reno Omokri, who at some point she alleged of sexually harassing her, and then the outcome of the whole thing. Reno provided proof, and she wasn't able to provide the proof. So
no.
Hold on. So the question is, has she been able to provide proof? Because a lot of Nigerians are saying, prove some of these allegations so that we can move ahead with the whole issue.
Okay. Wait. Let us take it one step at a time. See, the issue is, let's not lump issues together. His case with Reno Omokri is a different thing entirely. You understand? If some people assume she wasn't able to, and which wasn't the truth, which wasn't the fact was that when Reno Omokri said, look, on the time you said I came onto you, I wasn't in the country. Yeah. Then she responded, I said, you and I know what happened. But because of the people involved, I am unwilling to go ahead with this. That does not mean that she didn't provide any proof. She just said that she doesn't want to continue with that conversation. Now, that is at the level of the public, that is a different thing entirely. Excuse me. She has the public has the right to say that, look, you should have provided us proof and things like that. But it does not mean she failed to provide proof. I just want us to make a difference. Let us make that clarification.
Then my question again is,
wait. You lumped up some questions.
If you are going to make such allegations, looking at Reno Omokri's situation against all of this, a lot of some Nigerians are feeling to or beginning to think that you're making allegations.
No. I would say that is false parallel. It's it's called false parallel in argument. When you bring contexts that are unrelated. You understand? Now, you see, the issue of coming on to who, you understand, is between the two people. You understand? You are not in the best position to judge because you were not there. You understand? Yes, you can ask that, okay, until you provide me a scintilla of proof about such a thing, I'm willing to go with Akpabio on this. That is your right. Then, moreover, if she decides not to give any proof in public, that does not make her culpable. You understand? You provide proof to police or the court. You understand? Now, you see, we are arguing this because we have a society that is generally skewed against women. You understand? You see, you already have a prima facie instance where, when you talk of, Nigeria has the lowest representation in political offices in Africa. And that is supposed to be the giant of Africa. And then we are talking of an allegation that was made, and you refused. Now you said she hasn't been providing proof. She wanted to bring proof. You said no, and put her on suspension. So that is the issue. This is where the whole thing started from. You understand? So you see, all those things could have been solved if the allegations were treated as she should have been. You understand? So whatever happened after, you understand, as far as I'm concerned, it's a feed-off from what actually but the failure of the Senate leadership to address that matter squarely and transparently. This is my argument. It's as simple as that. So, for those who are saying that because this one happened, so you don't do that in court. You are introducing separate matters. The mere fact that Reno Omokri refused to pursue the matter in court is left to him. You understand? That thing was not exhausted. That argument was not exhausted in any way. So you can't draw any conclusions.
But
from
they
that.
settled out of court, you remember? If
No, they never settled out of court.
If you followed closely, well, because of other, national trending stories, maybe we should just move on and move ahead. But let's move ahead to other interesting stories.
Okay.
All right. So let's move to this one where Atiku is telling Tinubu to declare state of emergency on his presidency. Atiku made that statement, and he is criticizing President Bola Tinubu for being absent from the country amid growing insecurity and hardship in Nigeria, accusing him of abandoning his duties while on an extended stay in France. Remember when we had the conversation where, President Tinubu had to travel to France for about 2 weeks or so?
That is a very, very legitimate challenge coming from an opposition figure. And I think they should take that very serious. Considering, the point that he should declare emergency on his presidency, I think that is more of rhetoric. It's just
because of
opposition rhetoric. Yeah, you understand.
State,
It's acceptable. You can do that in opposition politics. Those are some of the things you do to put your opponent under pressure. And when we look at the matter, really, a lot have been said about his absence in the face of all what is happening. You understand the killings. I don't know if you guys have been following, comments on X. You see people like Mr. Macaroni. A lot of people going back to when Tinubu himself was tweeting against Jonathan that the buck stops at every killing. Tinubu was out there putting the buck squarely, pushing the blame squarely on Jonathan, the former president, at that time. You understand? You see, what people are now doing is that same quote. That same quote of President Tinubu is being brought back, as a point of accusation. That you said this, and it equally applies to your presidency. You see, that is, it is kind of tragic. On the one hand, the irony of it is quite amusing, but again, very, very saddening. It tells you that for this long, I'm talking of Jonathan, that's 2014, you're 2014 to this time. How many years is that? Yeah, my maths is not that good, but we are talking of something close to more than 10 years or thereabout. You understand?
11.
Things hasn't changed. 11 years. Things hasn't changed. And that is the tragedy of the situation. Now, so you then ask, what was the point of your opposition then? If you know you can't do better. So that is the question that we should ask ourselves. Nigerians should ask themselves, take sentiment aside. Now, you came on the mantra of change, right? And the security issue in the country was one of the focal points of the campaign against PDP. You understand? But within the interregnum, has there been anything significant? You understand? All we just hear is talk, and statements upon statements, condolences upon condolences. Even paying visits, to the people who are affected is something so Herculean for the presidency to do. And let us not forget that one of those things that APC did that endeared it to Nigerians was make the governors of APC, the coalition then, the opposition coalition then, made a visit to Maiduguri, to Chibok.
Yeah.
Against all security, they went there physically. So why not sustain that tempo? That is the tragedy of the kind of politics, the transactional politics we play. We play politics with tragedies. And that is why things appears not to be changing in this country. It's quite sad, really.
All right. Still on, former President Atiku Abubakar. Well, away from his statement to the president, and this has to do with some, personal issues. It does look like his coalition is not moving expectedly or as expected, where the former vice president has fired back at the People's Democratic Party governors who rejected the coalition merger with any other political party. Well, he did say, if you guys refuse, well, the the train has left the station. So apparently, it does look like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is keen on this, coalition thing. But the governors feel, slightly different, a bit on the other side with former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who is also hinting at dumping the party.
I'm going to say this. I think the governors should be very, very careful.
The PDP governors?
Yeah, they should be very careful. Because I'm talking in light of the recent political development in the country. Now, see, let us look at this. Let's look at this. Labour Party had no governor in 2023 election. But look at the massive weight they pulled. You understand? That we are talking of even governors trying to walk against them, they still pulled the rug off their feet. You know, so if I were the governors, I think I would be very careful at this point. You know, what I'm saying is politically they should hedge their bets. You understand? And that might just be the reason why Atiku is making that point. That look, things are no longer the way it used to be when PDP held sway, where the governor is the de facto and de jure leader of the party in the state. Most times, it appears as if the people now have a mind of their own. They can't decide to overwhelm the governor. Yes, we might decide that, yes, the governor, you have your ticket, we're going to vote for you. But as far as the presidency is concerned, it's a different ball game entirely. We've had that happen. You understand? So these are, you know, I think that is what Atiku is banking on. You know, I always tend to look at the underdog, you know, rather than the person who is comfortably seated in the seat of power. You know, because you see, you need a vibrant underdog to keep the man who is on seat on check. That has always, so you might say I'm biased for him, but I think my bias is more for positivity, so that the person who is sitting on that seat has to be very careful that it's not as if you are an emperor or you are a king, that you can be removed. And that is the only way democracy can thrive in this country. And that's the only way we get to have a voice in governance.
All right, tell me, if you look at it, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has contested twice under the under the PDP, and then once the defunct Action Congress party, and for over 30 years, over 3 decades, he's been trying to get to the top seats, when it comes to politics. But again, is this an obstacle for the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, as he's not getting the support of the governors and some bigwigs in the party?
Well, yes, it is an obstacle, and let us not foreclose the possibility that he might not run. Yeah, because when you hear the younger members of the parties, these opposition parties, they have been clamoring that Atiku should for once play the statesman. You understand that it has gotten to a point where he should take a bow and allow younger elements without so much baggages. He could put his considerable political weight behind them and back them. You understand? And I think that there is merit in that argument. Because some of us at that point said that, argued that Buhari should do the same thing at that time. You understand? He should do the same thing, but he ran a 4th time and he won. You understand? So, what he did with that rulership is a different thing entirely. It's a different matter entirely if we have to talk about it. But you see, we have to look at, like I said, in politics, it's like business, breaking biscuit. You can't predict the line of the brick. You understand? So that is what politics is like. It's never 1 + 1 = 2, especially when you talk about Nigerian politics. You understand? We might say president shows this, and when it comes to Atiku's case, it might not work out that way. You understand? So that is that about politics. It's not. It's like a Caliban gamble. It can fall anywhere.
All right, well, let's move to another conversation and check up on another story. The House of Representatives Ad hoc Committee on Rivers State has invited the state sole administrator, Vice Admiral Ibok Etta Ibas, retired, to appear before it on, that's today, Thursday, April 17, today. Well, the invitation announced by the House spokesman follows the committee's inaugural meeting where members deliberated on developments in the state since Ibas resumed office. Now, what do you think are the specific concerns of the House Ad hoc Committee for them to invite him to this particular meeting?
Like I said, was it yesterday or 1 or 2 days ago that normally when you have an ineffectual, a timid State House of Assembly, the House of Rep takes charge of the legislative oversight.
Very true.
You understand? So that might just be part of, doing their legitimate duty. Maybe just routine. But of course, we have to look at things that have been happening, decisions that Ibas has been taking that has been controversial. So I think the House of Rep is doing a yeoman's job. I will commend them for doing that. They didn't just leave the matter as it were, and that would be a first. If you ask me, that would be a first we are seeing of that. Yeah, of course, in the history of declaration of emergency. Don't forget that under President Obasanjo, it was like the House of Rep were still there. The state assembly were still there, but the governor was removed. You understand? Under Jonathan, he left the democratic structures in place. But he only took over where the security aspect, especially in some areas where there were insurgency. That was what we have. We never had a case where the House of Rep had to move into overseeing the legislative function of the state assembly. So we are having a different ball game. So it's like we are watching now. Let's see how it does. This is going to our history. So we learn from it. We make corrections as things goes on. As time goes by. So I'm looking forward to them asking him how he's dispensing money and changing people when there are controversies around it. He's just there to make sure there is peace, not utterly demolish the democratic structures that is even left in place. I think they should grill him on that, because I think he's overstepping his bound.
Okay. What do you think the committee's oversight duty aligned with the constitutional mandate, and what implications do you think this would have on River State's governance generally?
Well, I think number one, it will serve as a wake-up call for Ibas that yes, he might be a military man, but he is still subject to democratic rule, and I think that point has to be made. It has to be made clearly, because I think the man still thinks he's a military. There is a coup d'etat, and he has been appointed a military administrator. That is the honest truth. I think his body language does not show that he understands that it is an emergency rule still under democratic dispensation.
Right.
You understand? So that point has to be made. And I honestly think that if possible, lawmakers from River State, if they can at least put their interest for Wike aside and just think about the state for once and our democratic practice in the country for once, they should be there to make him understand that this is the rule of law, this is democracy. We are not going back to the military regardless of whatever he thinks.
All right, let's take a call. We have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, we lost that call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. My name is from Zongo.
Could you repeat that to register? What's your name?
Shitu from Zongo.
All right, Shitu from Zongo.
All
Good
right,
morning
please
to you,
go ahead.
Shitu.
Thank you. Fine. My comment this morning is that on the national matter, you see, that is human right. Where your right hands, that is where somebody's right begins. And you see, beyond the people hiding their home, this party is right or this party is wrong. You see, if somebody has this story, not to do harassment or stealing, and somebody says sorry, it's a big deal. Because if you put a leg for one thing, it's a pure criminal case. So there must be proof. Beyond that, somebody just say to defend ourselves or to have say or to call attention of people. It's beyond that. Because if somebody falls guilty of that, it's a pure criminal case. That's the angle I want us to look at it from. So there must be proof for all these allegations. That is one. Then on Atiku matter, you see, on the PDP realizes the part of the problem they have is Atiku because of all this over being shared. Atiku is not a party man. If you look at his calm, you can only see few big people in that party before they have these issues on the side. That's of Bukaso Laki. Bukaso Laki is mature, but you can really say that it's with Atiku and the likes. So, and beyond that, somebody wants to be in the office, you have to carry a lot of people along because it's not about your agenda alone. It has to suit people before people can have buy in it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you a lot.
Well,
Shitu
Mr.
from
Shitu,
Zongo.
I took particular note the last time we spoke on this Natasha matter. you see, there is a contradiction. You see, this is why I wanted us to be very careful, when we take positions, when we side on the side of the, the person that is being alleged. An allegation was made against Akpabio. You understand? You're saying that you can't just make allegation and things like that. You didn't allow it to, nobody gave her room to ventilate her allegations. You understand? Now, some people have taken an allegation against Natasha, and you are saying that the police should act. You see, there is a conflict between the two of them. You see, she made an allegation of sexual harassment. Harassment is not rape.
It's not abuse.
It's not. It's an abuse. Verbal harassment can be sexual.
All right, let's take this call, Nicholas.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. This is Mr. Ova from A Division.
All right, Mr. Femi, you can go ahead.
I want to comment on the two issues there, Atiku and River State administrator. The master there has said it all. The man in River State does not even know why he's there and why he was appointed. The problem in River State is the problem is beyond even him. He was only appointed to make it, not to destroy the already laid down democratic processes. He removed all the people that were duly elected and appointed the weakest cronies, which means the problem is still there. So I don't know what God. In fact, I will blame the whole problem on federal government. For the first time, he should have done what he did by appointing a declaring state of emergency in River State. Wicked started the problem. That is why we are saying that the gun federalism must stop. If not, why would somebody that ruled for 8 years, he left office because he was the one that Obama, the governor, he won election at the so that so at the state of the must be paid. If I want kind of article is politically irrelevant. It does not know where to start again. So these are people that destroy democratic processes in Nigeria, and they still want to construct another election. It should go. It's expired. We don't want all those Okakus again. Nigeria is look at Burkina Faso. Look at what the military leader is doing there. But who will do ever do such a thing in Nigeria? Let them go. We don't need them again.
All right. Thank you for expressing yourself this morning. Just before we go, real quick, this is coming off of these online, platforms, and the Security and Exchange Commission has warned Nigerians against unregistered investment platforms.
Yeah, there's
the CBEX and the PSEX.
So many.
And then recall, I think 2012 when we had the
MMM
thingy and
Ponzi scheme.
The Ponzi scheme. But Nigerians, why do Nigerians still fall?
No, it's not a Nigerian thing.
Okay.
It's not a Nigerian. It's a human thing. You see, look, beyond blaming the people who got involved in this, one way or the other, you could.
No, it's not blaming.
No,
them.
you see, I just want to. You see, the thing is, it's people who put this thing together are exceptionally smart people. Oh yeah, you see, they understand the human psyche. You understand? They understand that and they come in with a bit of risk too. They come with a bit of money to lure you into the trap.
But since 2016 till date, there's been over 40 of this type of schemes.
You need to. In fact, as I'm talking to you now, somebody has introduced one to me, and I keep on telling. I'm talking of a very thorough journalist.
But I feel like if something keeps on repeating itself all the time,
you need to see the argument we've been having over this. He said, no. It's a well-structured thing that it's in Sweden. They came from Sweden. They have a CAC. I said, being CAC does not. CAC will register, and so far you give them what they want, they will register you. Your intention, CAC is not there to read your intention. It's just a body to we want to do this kind of business. We want to grow investment and things like that. He told me everything. I said, look, this is how I why I don't do things like that. If you give me a scheme that does not involve buying and selling, that's all that is my formula. What are you buying? What are you selling? If it is obscure, then stay away. That is not a legitimate business.
But again, coming from the MMM era, the MMM scam era, where you bring one and then you bring another. You rob Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah,
that kind of situation.
No, you don't know what they are doing this time.
But again,
let me tell you what they are doing this time.
Again, hold on, Nicholas.
Yeah.
But again, this, if you look at that, like my colleague has said, over 40 of them in the last
since 2016.
2016.
And people keep falling, right?
12 years or thereabout. Now people seek, fall for these things. Bring two people, you become this, you get this, you climb the ladder.
It's no longer that. No. It's no longer that simple, my brother. You see, look, let me tell you what they now do. You see, this argument, they've been trying to counteract this argument of buying and selling. They tell you that they assign you tasks per day, and this is what you get for this task. They will tell you that they are into Bitcoin, that they get this, they make investment, the returns is what they give you. That's what they tell you. In fact, this particular one I'm talking about, they'll say, okay, look, what you do is you just click on an advert they show you.
You have to watch it.
Watch it for some time. Then you generate money from that. Who wouldn't fall for that, my brother? You understand? So these are very smart people.
But still, my argument, okay.
How do these things come into the country? Shouldn't there be is there a body that checks some of these, this
nobody
can. There are over 40 of them so far.
It's like trying to check ideas. Even those who plan it don't think it's criminal.
We'll pick it up tomorrow. We'll pick it up tomorrow. Thank you so much for sharing from your wealth of knowledge. The views expressed is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7, but are solely expressed by the analyst, Nicholas.
Here to light up the city
and beyond. One station keeps you locked in, no matter where you are. Non-stop vibes, non-stop hits. This is Flow FM 92.7.
Good morning, Ilori. You know what time it is. Wake up with us and get your day started right.
We've got the hottest headlines, trending topics, and the music you love back to back.
You already know we keep it fun, fresh, and real. Mid-mornings with us, you won't want to miss it.
We bring the energy, the laughs, and of course the tunes that gets you through the day.
Afternoon on Flow FM is where the culture lives. Music, entertainment, and all the gist that you need.
And if it's trending, you already know we're talking about it.
Stay locked in, Lauren. It's Flow FM, baby.
The night's young, the vibes are right, and we are flowing past midnight. You ready to chill? Let's go.
Listen anytime, anywhere. Stream us live, call us, send us a WhatsApp message. We're just a tap away. Flow FM 92.7, your Go with the Flow radio station.